So in this video, I'm going to show you how to link up a Google Sheet to your BuyBotPro. Now, why would you want to do this? There's lots of reasons why, but most importantly, having a spreadsheet where you have a list of everything that you've analyzed all in one nice and easy manageable place is super useful, and you can have multiple spreadsheets. You can link up as many as you like to BuyBotPro. So you might have a spreadsheet for items that you want to sell in Q1, in Q2, in Q3, maybe a list of items that don't quite make the cut, but you're going to check back up on them at a later date, a list of items that you know definitely are going to work out for you, a list of replenishables, whatever you want to make a spreadsheet for, you can create one and link it up to BuyBotPro. Now, what you need to do is you need to make sure that you have created the sheet using the same Google account that you would use when you log into Google Chrome itself. So both of these should be the same. And this is an example sheet that I've already put together, linked up to BuyBotPro. So just something that you should be wary of before you go ahead and link up the sheet, or maybe it's the first thing you do when you link up the sheet. The titles are things that you need to enter in yourself. BuyBotPro won't be able to do this for you. This is something that you need to enter in. So if you aren't sure what needs to go in what cell, you can refer to the customization table that is within the BuyBotPro settings, just that way you know what cell will have what piece of information. Then you can go ahead and add all of the titles in, but I'll show you this in a moment. So all you need to do is create yourself a sheet. Now you just need to take the URL, so copy that, and then come to your BuyBotPro settings. You'll come to the Google Sheets section where you can add in your sheet. So just click on add and it'll create a new entry. You can add as many as you like. As I say, you can link up multiple Google Sheets and just paste in the URL. When you click away from this, it will filter out the ID from that URL. So don't worry if this changes, that's what it's meant to do. And then you can give your sheet a name to remind you of what exactly it is. And then as you scroll along, as you can see, the column settings here, customize. This is where you can see the cell that piece of information is going to go in. And as you can see, you've got so much information that gets added into one export for this item. This is basically everything you need to know about the item that gets included in the export, which makes it really useful. And what's more, you can change the order in which these appear. So for example, if you wanted the ASIN to appear first, you would have that in cell A, and then you'd switch that with, say, the product name, and that goes in cell B. So you can rearrange the order in whatever way you see fit, whatever works best for you. And once you're happy with this, just go ahead and click on OK. When it comes to adding in the titles, as I mentioned earlier, if you just take a look at what's going to go in what cell, that will help you with your placement of the titles. So ASIN will go in cell B, category in cell C, buy price cell D, and so forth. So once you've done that, then you can choose if you want to turn on the auto export option. You don't have to do this, but if you do turn it on, basically as soon as you've analyzed a product, that product will get sent directly through to your Google Sheet straight away. If you leave this off, that just means that you will have to manually do this yourself. It's completely up to you which one you prefer. Once you have linked up your sheet and you've added it in there, just go to the bottom of BuyBotPro and click on Save and Sync so it can refresh and take those changes into account. So it's now going to refresh, and let's go ahead and analyze the product. It needs to be analyzed before you can export it, so that way you've got all of the information. Scroll down to the Google Sheets section, which is just here. And as you can see, my sheet that I've just linked up is here. Obviously, as I add multiple sheets, there will be multiple buttons here with the names that I gave the sheets that I linked up. So if you have multiple, they will all appear in this box. The source URL option is completely optional. It's just an additional piece of information that you can choose to add in, as well as everything else that gets included in the export. So basically, you can take the URL of wherever you found the item on whatever store website that is. So you take the source URL, paste that in here. It's just an extra piece of information that is included. So click on the sheet you want to send the item to, and as you can see in here, that item has now just appeared with all of the useful information that BuyBotPro has worked out at the time of analysis. If you do change around the order of the cells, don't forget to rearrange everything. So for example, you might want to move cell B over to A if you're rearranging those, if you've reordered them in the customize section. So just don't forget to do that when you do change anything, so that way it all makes sense. And yeah, that is how you link up a Google Sheet to BuyBotPro. Hopefully you found that useful. Let's get back to the web. In this video, I'm going to walk you through BuyBotPro Island. Now, BuyBotPro Island is super useful because it is a summary of key information taken from the main BuyBotPro panel. So it's going to be handy for if you happen to be in a rush. Maybe you're analyzing a great big list of items and you just want to have a quick analysis and quick results for each one. Maybe you're a very confident seller, and for you, all you need to see would be in this island here to make a decision on the product. I'd always recommend looking through the main BuyBotPro panel as and when you can, because obviously you get a lot more from it. But BuyBotPro Island is an additional little tool for you if you find yourself needing it. So BuyBotPro Island will appear somewhere in the middle of the page. Now, if you can't see it on the Amazon page, then all you need to do is come through to the BuyBotPro settings and make sure that you have toggled it on here, and then just press save and sync at the bottom of your settings, and the page will refresh or take that change into account, and then BuyBotPro Island will appear. If you want to get rid of it, you just need to click on the X icon here and it will disappear. And obviously if you want it again, just make sure that the toggle's on, click on save and sync, and it will reappear. So as soon as you've analyzed an item, if you have turned on auto analyze, then this will obviously work straight away. But as soon as you have pressed analyze or it's auto analyze, you'll get all of the results in the island. So you can see how much profit you're going to make if you were to sell at the sell price, what your ROI would be, and you have the BSR percentage as well. So it's in the top 1%. It meets your BSR criteria that you've set in your criteria settings. You have the estimated sales here. So to the left, you have the previous 90-day average sales for the item. In the middle, you have the current sales, which is based on the last 30 days. And just the same as the estimated sales calculator in the main panel, if you hover over the middle box, you will get a breakdown of the monthly sales for the item over the last 12 months. And then using this data combined with several inbuilt algorithms, BuyBotPro is then able to predict the sales for the item over the next 90 days. So you can get a feel for how well the item is going to perform in future, if it is going to consistently sell well, if it's going to do better, or if it's going to do worse. Then obviously you might want to go for a smaller quantity. It might be something that puts you off the item for now. Maybe you want to add it to Google Sheet and check back up on it at a later date. Whatever you want to do with that information, it's just all part of helping you make that purchasing decision. You'll be able to see your eligibility and hazmat when you log into your Seller Central account, and it's able to get that information. And then you have the IP radar here as well. So it's going to indicate to you if the item has an intellectual property issue. Red, it's got an IP issue, you want to avoid it. Orange, you need to do your own due diligence and just double check that you can go ahead with the item. There have probably been issues in the past. Maybe Amazon themselves don't even know. So you might just need to double check that one. And you have green if there are no known PL issues. You get the BuyBotPro confidence score, so it will tell you what it thinks of the deal, give you a percentage. And if you hover over this, just the same as the confidence score in the main panel, it will give you the top 3 things to consider before going ahead with the items. So it's telling me that Amazon are on the listing. The recent 30-day and 90-day estimated sales have been awesome. So the top point basically lets me know that I need to set a competitive price in order to compete with Amazon. But then we have some reassurance below telling me that for the recent 30-day period and the recent 90-day period, the sales have been amazing for this item, which is great. We have the storage fees slider here. So if we want to take into account however many months worth of storage fees we can, maybe we're expecting to have this in storage for a couple of months, we can move the slider along and it's going to take this into account. As we can see, the profit and ROI readjusted because obviously the longer we keep something in storage, the more fees we're going to have to pay. So that will affect our numbers. And if you change the storage fee slider here, it will change it over in the details section as well. It takes the same into account here. And then at the bottom, you have the ROI versus sell price. So for this sell price, you're going to achieve this ROI. But if you had a particular ROI goal in mind, let's say you wanted to achieve 50% ROI, it'll then tell you what price to sell for in order to achieve that, or vice versa. If you're planning to sell it for, say, £55, it will tell you what your ROI would be once you sell at that price. So that is BuyBotPro Island. As you can see, it's just a handy little tool with key points taken from the main BuyBotPro panel, just to give you a summary analysis of the item, which is super useful. So if you haven't checked out BuyBotPro Island, I'd heavily recommend that you switch it on, see how you like using it. Chances are you'll love it. That's BuyBotPro Island. Let's get back to the web. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about the BSR and prices section. This is essentially a summary of what's going on with the BSR and prices on this listing, and we can check this out in a lot more detail over on the charts. We might prefer to do that because a visual representation might work better for us, and obviously it gives us the history for the item. But if we just want a summary of what's going on right now and in recent times, we can also get predictions from here as well. This is a great section to come to, so I'm going to work my way through this and explain everything as we go. So first up, we can change the period of time that we're looking at for all of this information. So right now it's on current. We can change that to the last 30 days, the last 90 days, the last 180, or for all times since the item was first listed on Amazon. So if we take a look at the BSR section, we can see the BSR number for the item and that it is in the top percentage right now. We have the BSR predictor, so where there is sufficient data to analyze, our algorithm helps predict future BSR rankings, and this particular item is predicted to be within the top percentage in the future as well. It's going to consistently do really well on Amazon, and judging by the estimated sales calculator down here, it's going to do even better. We can see the BSR drops as well, so 64 in the last 30 days. So BSR drops, if I was to explain this, let's take a look at the charts down here. So BSR drops is exactly the same as every time on the BSR line in the charts where there is a drop. So for every bit of movement on the BSR line, that means there's been at least one sale. It could be more than one, but at least one. So the more drops, the more sales. So it gives you an indicator of how well the item has been selling. Next, we have the prices section, so we can see who has the buy box, that's Amazon, and what price they have it for. We can see the net buy box price changes as well. So if we hover over this, we can see how many ups and downs there have been in the time frame that we have specified. So there's been 3 ups and 2 downs in the last 30 days. So basically what this does is it helps us see consistency with the buy box pricing on the listing. If we had a lot of downs on the listing, it might suggest that naturally the pricing on the listing is just coming down. It could be that people join this listing and tank it often, which isn't good news for us if we were to join this listing, unless of course we had a repricer like Profit Protector Pro, which beats price tanking. And if we see that it has a lot of ups, then obviously that just means that if we join this listing, our profit potential has increased. And if it sits fairly equally, then it means that this listing is consistent. It has as many downs as it has ups. So if we join this listing, even though we have some downs, we can rely on the fact that it will also go up at some point as well, because it is split fairly equally. So that's just a handy indicator telling us what exactly is going on with the buy box in the specified time frame. We can see Amazon's price on the listing. We can see the top FBA price and how many FBA sellers there are, and the top FBM price and how many FBM sellers there are. So we get an insight into the competition here as well. So as I say, this is super useful for having a summary of what's been going on with the BSR and the prices. And as I say, if we want more details, we can go over to the sales charts, whether that's the ones here or the mini ones. It's completely up to you, but that is a visual representation of that information. And again, we can see the history in a much more colorful way. So hopefully this has helped you. Go ahead and check out this table. Don't forget, if you hover over this, it will show you the exact number of ups and downs. And I'll catch you back in the webinar. In this video, I'm going to talk you through the BuyBotPro QuickLook feature. Now, to enable this, all you need to do is come to the personalization section of your settings and make sure that BuyBotPro QuickLook is toggled on, save and sync, and then this panel will appear underneath every single search result when you look anything up on Amazon. So it does exactly what it says on the tin. It is a quick look at every product, giving you some of the essential bits of information regarding that product. So that way, when you do search through and you get all of these results, it's easier to see which ones might appeal to you more. So right away, you can see the ASIN, the BSR, and within what category the item is in. You can see if Amazon are on the listing and obviously selling the item. Then you get a quick look at your competition. So on this item, for example, there are 4 FBA sellers and 27 merchant fulfilled sellers. If you click on this, it will take you through to the listing itself and show you all of the sellers that are on the listing. And obviously you can see all of their prices and get a bit of a deeper look into your competition. If you want to, you can open up the BuyBotPro chart. So maybe you've seen the BSR and you're wondering, has this consistently been as good? And then you can open up the main sales chart and get lots and lots of information. You also get the offers and review chart, and you get the subcategory chart, and you also get the averages tables as well. You can even open up BuyBotPro here and now on the page. So if you wanted to go ahead and analyze it, get a bit more information about the item, then you can. And the QuickLook feature is actually really useful for reverse sourcing. So obviously that's where you find products on Amazon first, and then you find stores where you can purchase them. So if you see something that appeals to you, so for example, this one here has a BSR of 61. So that is pretty good. If we click on the Google link here, it's going to find the item for us on Google, and obviously we'll have a list of stores that we can potentially purchase the item from. And so it makes it really easy. If we saw a store where we could purchase the item from, it looks good to us, we can quickly open up BuyBotPro, enter in that price, and get all of those analysis results. So it helps us by making it so we don't have to have lots of tabs open, we don't have to keep going back and forth, you know, we can very simply do things. It's a wonderful little feature, and as I say, it's really good for reverse sourcing, as it helps narrow down the kind of items you want to be paying attention to, as you're going to get loads and loads and loads in the search results, and without something like this, it becomes that little bit harder, whereby you'd have to go onto every single item individually and try and figure out if it's going to work out for you. You can also use the BSR in each of the QuickLook boxes to help you understand the scale of the category that you're looking at. So for example, just looking here, 33,545, and then the one right next to it, 1,102. So that is a long, long way away from being at this BSR. So this is still quite a good item BSR wise. Obviously, as we scroll down, we'll be able to see different BSRs to help us, as I say, understand the scale of the category that we're looking at. There is one other place that you can see the QuickLook box as well, but that will be in the next video after this one. So with that being said, let's get back to the webinar. This video, I'm going to talk you through the competition analysis table and show you a cool little trick that you can do with it. So it's going to show you the top 10 sellers on the listing. The reason why it shows you the top 10 is because these are the guys you want to look to beat and set your price competitively against. Now, it numbers them from 1 to 10 for you, then it shows you the stock level for each seller, and it gives you a color depending on the type of seller they are. So for example, you have orange for Amazon, grey for merchant fulfilled, blue for merchant fulfilled prime, and if you see green, that is for FBA. Hovering over this as well will tell you who that seller is exactly. Then you can see the price that they are selling the item for. Where you see a bold number, that is where they have shipping. So if you hover over it, it shows you the price that they're selling the item for and how much they charge for shipping. Then if you were to sell at any of these prices, it shows you how much profit you'd make and what your ROI would be. Now this uses a general criteria to work this out. If you want specific profit and ROI estimates, taking everything into account that you've set up in BuyBotPro, obviously just go ahead and check out the details section. You can then see the delivery date that each seller has as well. So if you purchase from Amazon, for example, they reckon that it will be delivered by the 9th of July. You may also get a date range as you hover over each of these as well. So if you were curious as to if any had a date range, you can hover over and find out. Then you can see the amount of reviews that each seller has had, and if you hover over it, you can see the percentage of positive feedback that seller has too. At the bottom, you can see the total amount of stock that the top 10 sellers have got, so it adds all of this up. And then underneath, you can see how many sellers there are in total on the listing. So there's 5 prime sellers and 27 merchant fulfilled sellers. Now, if you toggle on prime only, because you might be an FBA seller and you only want to see the sellers on the listing to help you make your decision, it'll basically remove all of the merchant fulfilled sellers. So as you can see, we've got Amazon, a merchant fulfilled prime seller, and then we have some FBA sellers on the listing as well. Now, something really cool that you can do with this is if you click on any of these stock levels, so if we clicked on this one here, it takes us through to that seller's store. Now here you can see the QuickLook box appear and the manual sourcing accelerator. So you get a bit of information about each item that they're selling right off the bat. So this can be really sneaky but cool at the same time. So if you wanted a bit of inspiration for things that you can sell as well, maybe they are a seller that's quite similar to you. Obviously you need to make sure that you can find the item for a reasonable price and it's got to meet your own criteria, but this can give you inspiration for items that you could potentially sell as well. If you wanted to be really cheeky and compete with that seller in more places, then you can. So get the QuickLook box here with a summary of information, and then of course you have a brief analysis of each item on the manual sourcing accelerator. You can open up BuyBotPro right here and now, so you can go and do a full in-depth analysis for that item. But what's really cool about this, and what you won't get on the manual sourcing accelerator regularly, only when you access it through the competition, is you can see the store details for that particular seller. So you can find out more about them. So you can see their seller name, seller ID, the rating that they've had, the positive feedback percentage, their async count, and you can see the top brands that they're selling and the top categories as well. So if they are quite a similar seller to you and they sell in multiple categories, maybe you're looking to branch out into other categories as well, you can potentially then look at what they're selling in home and kitchen, and it will show you all of the products that meet that category. So then you can go ahead and get inspiration here as well. So ultimately, it's a really, really useful tool. All you need to do is click on that seller's stock level on the competition analysis, and it will take you through to this page. So that's quite a cool trick. If you want to analyze it in a different marketplace, then you can just by clicking on whichever marketplace you want at the top. So hopefully this has helped you. Let's get back to the work.